I spent £24,000 on my GF's family over 2 years. Then she publicly humiliated me for not buying them a £35,000 car. So this happened about 3 months ago, and I'm still processing it all. I keep going back and forth on whether I made the right call, but honestly, the more time passes, the more I realize I dodged a massive bullet. Let me start from the beginning because this whole situation is wild. I'm 28, work in fintech in London, and yeah, my family has money. Not oligarch money, but comfortable enough that I don't stress about rent or buying decent wine. My girlfriend Olivia, 26, is a freelance graphic designer from Manchester. We'd been together for about 2 years when this all went down. Olivia's family situation was always complicated. Her parents, Janet and Joseph, own a small bakery in a working-class neighborhood. Sweet people, genuinely kind, but they've always struggled financially. Olivia has a younger brother, Gary, who's 23 and bounces between jobs. The family dynamic was intense. Very close-knit, but also very dependent on each other emotionally and financially. When I first met them about 8 months into dating Olivia, I could tell they were sizing me up. Not in a hostile way, but you know when people are quietly calculating what you might bring to the table? Olivia had obviously told them about my background, and I could feel this weird expectation in the air. At first, it felt good to help. Olivia's laptop died, and she couldn't afford a new one for work. I bought her a MacBook Pro without thinking twice. When her mum mentioned they were behind on the bakery's equipment loan, I quietly transferred them £3,000. Olivia cried happy tears, said I was the most generous person she'd ever met. But then it became a pattern. Every family dinner seemed to come with some financial crisis. The bakery's oven needed repairs. Gary's car broke down. Their boiler died in January. And somehow, I became the go-to solution. Olivia would give me these puppy dog eyes, talk about how stressed her parents were, how she hated seeing them struggle. The big one came 6 months ago. They were facing foreclosure on their house. The bakery wasn't bringing in enough to cover both the business and personal mortgages. Joseph broke down crying at Sunday dinner, talking about losing the family home. Olivia was devastated. That's when I made the decision that I now realize was the beginning of the end. I offered to guarantee their mortgage, signed the paperwork, became legally responsible for their £180,000 home loan. At the time, it felt like the right thing to do. Olivia was so grateful. Her parents treated me like their son, and I felt like I was really making a difference. Over the next few months, I ended up making 3 mortgage payments when they couldn't. About £4,500 total. Plus random other expenses, Gary's dental work, Olivia's car insurance, groceries when things were tight. I never kept track, but it was easily over £10,000 in 6 months. Here's the thing though, I never minded helping. These were good people in tough circumstances. Olivia was loving and supportive. Her family welcomed me completely. I felt like I was building something real with people who genuinely cared about me. But there were small things that bothered me. Olivia started making comments about how lucky she was to have found someone who could take care of everyone. Her mum would joke about me being their financial guardian angel. Gary once said, completely seriously, that I was like having a rich uncle, but better. I started noticing Olivia's expectations shifting. She'd see expensive things and make comments like, maybe for my birthday, or when we move in together, we should get one of those. She began talking about our future like it came with a built-in assumption that my money would always be available for her family's needs. The breaking point came 3 weeks ago. Olivia mentioned her parents were planning a small gathering to celebrate the bakery's 15th anniversary. Just family and a few close friends. She said it casually, then added, "Oh, and maybe you could get them something special? Like really special? They've been through so much this year." I asked what she had in mind. She laughed and said, "Well, my dad's been obsessing over this MG convertible at the dealership. He walks past it every day on his way to work. It would be such a dream come true for him." I thought she was joking. I actually laughed and asked what she really wanted me to bring. She looked at me seriously and said, "I'm not kidding. It's only £35,000. You spent more than that on your watch." I was speechless. She continued, explaining how her parents had sacrificed everything for the bakery, how they deserved something beautiful, how it would mean everything to them. She painted this picture of me walking in with the car keys, everyone crying happy tears, her dad finally getting something he'd always wanted. I told her that was insane. £35,000 for a gift was completely over the line, even for me. She got defensive, said I was being selfish, that I spent more than that on stupid investments all the time. We had our first real fight about money. She kept bringing it up over the next week, texting me photos of the car, articles about how MGs were great investments, stories about her dad's difficult childhood and how he deserved nice things. The pressure was constant and uncomfortable. Finally, I told her straight up, I wasn't buying her father a car. I'd bring a nice bottle of wine and some chocolates, and that was it. She went quiet for a day, then texted me, "Okay, I understand," with a sad face emoji. I should have known something was wrong with how easily she accepted it. The day of the gathering, I showed up with a 150-pound bottle of champagne and some fancy Belgian chocolates from Harrods. I thought I was being generous. That's more than most people spend on gifts for their own parents' anniversaries. I knocked on the door, expecting Olivia to answer with her usual smile. Instead, she opened the door with this cold expression I'd never seen before. She looked at my hands, saw the wine and chocolates, and her face completely changed. "Seriously," she said, loud enough for people inside to hear. "This is what you brought?" I was confused. I said yes, I brought champagne and chocolates like we discussed. She stepped outside and closed the door behind her. "We discussed you bringing something meaningful. Something that shows you actually care about this family." Her voice was getting louder. I tried to explain that I never agreed to buy a car, that we'd talked about this. She cut me off. "Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is? I told everyone you were bringing something special. My parents have been so excited. And you show up with wine like you're going to a bloody dinner party." People inside were definitely listening now. I could hear conversations stopping. "Olivia, we talked about this. I said I wasn't comfortable with." "Comfortable?" She was almost shouting now. "You're not comfortable doing something nice for people who have welcomed you like family? People you've lived with, eaten with, people who love you." I felt my face getting hot. This was humiliating. Her neighbors were starting to look out their windows. "You guaranteed our house. You've paid for Gary's stuff, Mum's medical bills, Dad's equipment. But when it comes to something that would actually make them happy, something they'd remember forever, you're suddenly not comfortable." I tried to say something, but she held up her hand. "No. I can't do this right now. I can't go back in there and face my family with this." She gestured at the wine like it was garbage. "Just go home. I'll call you later when I've figured out how to explain this." She went back inside and slammed the door. I stood there for probably 30 seconds, holding expensive champagne and chocolates, feeling like complete shit. I could hear muffled conversations starting up inside again. I drove home in shock. I kept replaying the conversation, trying to figure out where it went wrong. Had I misunderstood something? Was I being unreasonable? But the more I thought about it, the angrier I got. The entitlement was staggering. The public humiliation. The way she made me feel like a selfish asshole for not buying her father a £35,000 car. I started thinking about everything I'd done for her family. The mortgage guarantee that made me legally responsible for their debt. The payments when they couldn't make them. All the random expenses I'd covered without question. And she was treating me like garbage because I wouldn't buy them a car. That night, she texted me, "I'm sorry for how that went. I was just disappointed. My parents kept asking where you were, and I didn't know what to say. Can we talk tomorrow?" I didn't respond. I needed time to think. The next day, she called. I let it go to voicemail. Then she texted, "Please don't shut me out. I know I handled that badly. I was just under a lot of pressure from my family. They were expecting something big." That phrase stuck with me. Expecting something big. Like it was my responsibility to manage her family's expectations about my money. I spent the weekend thinking about our entire relationship. Every family dinner where money came up. Every crisis I'd solved. Every time Olivia had made comments about my generosity, or how lucky she was. I realized I'd become their family ATM. Not a boyfriend, not a partner, but a source of funding. And Olivia wasn't my girlfriend anymore. She was their representative, managing the relationship to maximize financial benefit. Monday morning, I called my solicitor. I wanted to understand what it would take to remove myself as guarantor on their mortgage. He said it was complicated, but possible if I could prove the arrangement wasn't in my best interest or if there were concerns about repayment. I also called my bank and got statements for everything I'd spent on Olivia and her family over the past year. The number was shocking, £23,847.63. Nearly £24,000. That evening, Olivia called again. This time I answered. "Thank God," she said. "I've been going crazy. Look, I'm really sorry about Saturday. I was stressed and I took it out on you. My parents are asking when you're coming round for dinner." I told her we needed to talk in person. She suggested she come to my flat. I said no, somewhere public. That seemed to worry her. We met at a cafe near her place. She looked nervous, kept fidgeting with her phone. I brought printed bank statements. I told her I'd been thinking about our relationship, about my role in her family's finances, and about what happened at the door. She immediately started apologizing again, saying she overreacted, that she never meant to make me feel bad. I cut her off. I told her the issue wasn't her reaction, it was the expectation behind it. The assumption that I would spend £35,000 on a gift. The way she'd presented it as normal and reasonable. She got defensive. Said her family had been through a lot, that they deserved nice things, that I had the means to help and it wouldn't even impact my lifestyle. I showed her the bank statements. Line by line, every payment I'd made related to her or her family. She went quiet as she read through them. "I never asked you to track everything," she said finally. "This feels like you're trying to make me feel guilty for accepting help." That's when I knew for certain this was over. She wasn't seeing the problem. She was seeing my documentation of the problem as the real issue. I told her I was removing myself as guarantor on their mortgage. She panicked. Started crying, saying they'd lose the house without my guarantee. I said that wasn't my responsibility anymore. "What do you mean, anymore? These are people you care about. People who love you." I asked her if she loved me, or if she loved what I could provide for her family. She couldn't answer that question. I left the cafe. She followed me outside, crying, begging me not to make any rash decisions. She promised things would change, that she'd never ask for anything again, that we could work it out. I went home and blocked her number. I blocked her on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, everything. I sent an email to her parents explaining that I needed to step back from the mortgage guarantee for personal reasons, and that they should contact their bank to discuss alternatives. That's when the real harassment started. She began texting from her friends' phones. Created fake Instagram accounts to message me. Had her brother Gary call me from work phones. Her mom even showed up at my office building once, crying, begging me to reconsider. The messages were all the same pattern. I was being cruel. I was abandoning people who loved me. I was throwing away a beautiful relationship over money. They were going to lose their house. Her parents might have to close the bakery. Olivia sent increasingly desperate messages. She promised to pay back every penny I'd spent. She said she'd get a regular job to contribute more financially. She begged me to just talk to her, to give her a chance to make things right. But here's what really got to me. Not once did anyone acknowledge that what happened at the door was wrong. Not once did anyone say, "You were right, expecting a car was unreasonable." Every message was about how I was overreacting, how I was punishing everyone for Olivia's mistake. They still didn't get it. 3 weeks later, Olivia managed to corner me outside my gym. She looked terrible, like she hadn't been sleeping. She begged me to just listen to her for 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I agreed. She told me she'd realized how wrong she'd been. That she'd gotten caught up in trying to make her family happy and lost sight of what was important. She said she loved me, not my money, and she was willing to prove it. I asked how. She said she'd take full financial responsibility for her family. She'd get them off the mortgage guarantee somehow. She'd pay me back everything, even if it took years. She just wanted another chance. I told her it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about respect. About being valued as a person rather than a resource. "I do value you," she said. I don't know. I got confused about what was normal. My family was so grateful for everything you did, and I wanted to keep making them happy. I asked her why making them happy was more important than respecting me. She couldn't answer that either. I told her it was over. That I hoped she and her family would figure things out, but I couldn't be part of it anymore. She broke down completely. Started sobbing in the middle of the street, begging me not to walk away, saying she'd do anything. I felt awful, but I kept walking. That was a month ago. The messages have mostly stopped now. I heard through a mutual friend that her parents managed to refinance the mortgage without my guarantee, though at a higher rate. The bakery is still open. Gary got a job at a warehouse. Olivia apparently moved back in with her parents to save money. She's been telling people I changed after we started having problems, that money and family expectations ruined a good relationship. Which I guess is true, in a way. But here's what I keep coming back to, the look on her face when she opened that door. The genuine disgust and disappointment when she saw wine and chocolates instead of car keys. The way she humiliated me in front of her neighbors rather than handle the conversation privately. That wasn't someone who loved me. That was someone who saw me as a means to an end, and was angry that I wasn't performing my role correctly. I've been in therapy since this all happened, trying to understand how I let it get so far. My therapist says people pleasers often attract takers, and that financial boundaries are just as important as emotional ones. I'm learning to recognize the signs now. The way Olivia would always frame her requests in terms of other people's needs. The guilt trips disguised as conversations about family values. The way she made my financial support seem like proof of love rather than what it actually was, enabling. Do I miss her? Sometimes. Do I miss her family? Yeah, actually. They were genuinely warm people, and I enjoyed feeling like part of a close family unit. But I don't miss the constant pressure. I don't miss feeling like my worth was measured by my willingness to solve everyone's problems with money. I don't miss the anxiety of wondering what the next crisis would be. Most of all, I don't miss that sick feeling I had standing on their doorstep, holding gifts that were suddenly inadequate because they weren't expensive enough. I'm dating someone new now. Bella, 29, works in publishing. She has her own flat, pays her own bills, and when I offered to buy dinner on our second date, she insisted we split it. When I mentioned I come from money, she said, "That's nice," and changed the subject to a book she was reading. It's refreshing to feel valued for who I am rather than what I can provide. Looking back, I think Olivia genuinely believed she loved me. But she loved the version of me that made her family's problems disappear. She loved the security I represented, the status, the ability to be generous with other people's crises. She never learned to love the person who might sometimes say no. And honestly, I never learned to expect that kind of love until it was gone. The whole experience taught me that generosity without boundaries isn't kindness. It's just enabling with better marketing. Real love doesn't come with a price tag, and it definitely doesn't come with public humiliation when you won't meet someone else's financial expectation. I hope Olivia figures that out someday. For her sake, and for whoever she dates next. But it won't be my problem to solve anymore.